Awesome. So people are flowing in here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. All right, LA, North Carolina. Brian, Nathan, where are you guys?
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Close by in Orlando, Florida.
Okay, all right. I'm currently in Denver, Colorado. So we're all over the country. We got Canadians. I want to see people. We got, I think, Omaha. All right, so far all in the US. Okay, we got some Canadians. I'm sure people will be trickling in from everywhere, but nice to see I'm actually seeing some familiar faces. So this is really cool. We did a bunch of, we went to over 20 cities this year, doing our little world tour. So it's nice to see some names that we met in person. So great to see that. We did some dinners, did some events, did some dinners. It was nice to meet people and meet people in real life. And Brian, you were just at a conference presenting, right?
Yeah, I was in Denver yesterday at Digital CPA talking about leveraging technology like TaxDome and how it, enhances the customer experience and it makes your brand look better. So yeah, that was yesterday.
Right on. That's very on cue. So I actually tremendously believe in customer experience and making your brand better. So I'm actually glad that you were talking to people about that, because we are big believers in that. And actually, we're going to give just a quick little sneak peek. We're not just thinking about this stuff from our end, but we've actually did a big research report where we worked with a professional research firm and researched 1,000 taxpayers in the US who hired accountants. So we're going to tell a little bit more about that. But Natalia, if you can put that in the chat for now while we get started, so people can, actually, we'll put that afterwards, just because I think it's going to get lost in the shuffle of where everybody's from. But I'm glad to see people from all over the country, all over the world, actually, not just country, but all over the world. They're here. So super, super excited. And I think we can actually get started. So I think we're going to turn off the chat, just because it's really difficult for us to monitor the chat with so many people. We have almost 1,000 people in here right now, and it'll be well over 1,000 once we get started. So we're going to turn off the chat, but we do have the Q&A that we're going to utilize. But I personally am super, super excited for this. And this is our fourth webinar getting ready for tax season. And we've got over 100,000 views on the video so far, and I'm excited for this one. So big shout out to our previous guests and our current guests for being here with me. So for those of you, just a quick overview, presume you've heard of TaxDome, but you might not know about the scale of TaxDome, or kind of how, overall how the impact. So over 10,000 firms are using TaxDome. And more than 3 million of your clients are using TaxDome to communicate with you, answer your requests, to pay your invoices, do whatever it is that you need them to do within the context of your firm. More than 3 million people around the world are doing that. So very, very proud of this. And in 2024, what I'm also super proud of is that we won the category winner for comprehensive firm workflow solution. And I think that's really important to highlight, because we have tax in our name. So a lot of people, and this is a webinar getting ready for tax season, because it's about to be, the new year. But TaxDome is the preferred solution for full service accounting firms of all sizes. So whether you're doing bookkeeping, audit, resolution, whatever it is that you're doing, or all of the above, that's what TaxDome is there for you. It's not a tool for tax; it's for the broader full service accounting firm community. So really proud of this. And then, as I mentioned in the kind of little sneak peek, Natalia, if you can put in the chat just so everybody sees, we just rolled out our client satisfaction report. Now, this is very different from most industry reports, because most industry reports ask people like you, Brian and Nathan, professionals, hey, what do your clients want? And although, Brian and Nathan are great guys and they're smart and, they've spoken to a lot of clients, it's still their personal worldview, right? They're still interpreting information. Whereas what we did is we actually went directly to the clients. We surveyed, we worked with a professional research firm and surveyed over 1,000 taxpayers in the US who have hired tax preparers, accountants, and bookkeepers, and asked them exactly what you actually value, what do you care for, what are you willing to pay for? And it's super, super insightful. So we're actually gonna have a webinar about this next week, but we actually just released this and it's gotten a bunch of press so far. So super excited about it. Check it in the link in the report. But this is personally, I think it's super, super valuable and a must read for the industry. Before I even get to the agenda, I'm just going to let Brian and Nathan quickly introduce themselves because I'm super happy that they're here. Can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and take over?
Sure, I could go first. So I'm Brian Davis. I'm the owner of a One Stop CPA. We're an all virtual firm. I'm based in Palm Beach, Florida, and I have a team of 5. We do tax advisory, we do accounting services, and we also do tax compliance.
Awesome. My name's Nathan Gauger. I am the managing partner at Blue Heron CPAs, a local firm here in Central Florida, very close to where Brian's at, but focus more on technology. And then oddly enough, retirees. There are a lot of them in Florida and we deal with a lot of them. So a lot of fun.
That's actually good. So Nathan, you've got retirees by definition. They're not young. And are they using the portal? Are they using the full, how are you doing a different process for them? Or are you doing everything the same?
So, and I don't know if it's just me and how I've implemented things, but we have 80, 90-year-old individuals that are regularly on the portal and everybody else complains that they can't figure it out. But for some reason, TaxDome has allowed them an easy access. So it's huge for me.
TaxDome, built for 80 to 90-year-olds. This is our new tagline. I love it. I love it.
There you go.
Warms my heart. So just to be conscious of time, I wanted to really get to the meat of the conversation. And what are we here for? We're here for make sure everybody's ready for tax season. And like I said, it's for tax. These workflows, they're super customizable, and we're actually going to show you a workflow from Brian that's not tax. That was one of the things he's going to show. But we want to walk you through a general workflow that most firms do their own version of, right? So both Brian and Nathan do slightly different versions, but the general idea is the same for all tax workflow, right? You generally send out some kind of engagement letter to a client. You might do that in the beginning or might do that slightly afterwards. You collect information from them. Someone on your team prepares the return. You get paid. Somebody on your team reviews the return and you submit it. That's the general workflow of any tax, firm. It might go up. Some steps might be before, some steps might be afterwards, but the grand scheme of things, these are all the things that your team needs to get done to get a tax return, from idea to completion. So we're going to walk you through this and show you live demonstrations of how you can do this and how you can set this up, but really digging into the actual nuts and bolts of how it works and the setup you can do behind it. So we're going to switch over to Brian in a second, who's going to walk us through his pipeline. We're actually going to ask him really, drill down into how he's set up everything, how he's done it. But the pipelines and everything that we're going to show you is really powered by automations, right? That entire workflow process that we just described is powered specifically by automations and not you having to do things at every step, not your admin having to do things at every step, but you can have things done automatically. So your goal from this webinar is to really understand why Brian has set up his process in the way that he has, how Nathan has set up his process in the way that he has, understand the actual, how it works, and then apply that to your own process and how you like to do things. Of course, I'm going to pipe in with what I think are some best practices and what you should be doing generally, but my goal is that you can understand exactly how it works so you can incorporate it for your specific workflows. And so please ask questions, and Brian and Nathan are going to be here. We're going to drill into them, into really understanding how they've come up with their processes, but remembering that everything is always powered by the automations beneath it. So I'm going to then stop sharing my screen, and Brian, can you share yours?
Yeah. All right. Share. Okay. You guys see CB Company?
I do.
Okay, great. So what we're gonna do first, should I just take it away and start through?
Take it away, and I'll pipe in.
Okay, so basically this is, we deal a lot with businesses that are maybe they start off as an LLC and they need to convert to an S Corp. I'm sure a lot of people here that, especially in the US, have dealt with that. So we're gonna add this. I created a S Corp pipeline and we'll go through it, but this is what it looks like from start to finish, stage 1 through 9. We're gonna actually run a client all the way through and show you what all these cool automations are. And the cool thing about it is that it starts off in stage 1, so kickoff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new job to this client, and we're going to put him down the S Corp election pipeline. And I have a template created for this job. Should take, we budgeted about 90 minutes
And
for
actually,
it. So
just
yeah,
while you're here, I'm gonna just kind of quick, and we'll
sure.
keep going
No,
back.
feel free.
So,
Yeah.
so for those of you that are newer, what Brian is doing, he's got the pipeline is the process that he's gonna, he wants for every S corp. This is the steps that it's going to take for him to get from beginning to end. And he's adding a job for a new client here, or for an existing client that he has to do an S corp election, and you can template everything. So what he's templated here is he's templated that he expects this workflow to take roughly 60 days because that's how long he's going to wait for the submission from the IRS. And he's also budgeted 90 minutes for it for his team. Now, this is a new thing that we've rolled out recently where even if you don't bill for time, generally you might want to still track the time so you can understand how much things take so that you can properly allocate your resources there. So when your team is now working on this, and you can have the tasks assigned to different people, they can track their time and you can see we budgeted 90 minutes overall of admin time or people on your team to do it, but maybe it took you 4 hours and maybe you need to either rethink the process or charge more money or see whether the person is inefficient, but that's where it comes from. And then the other thing that you can template, so everything on here you can template in the job template. And at the bottom, you notice client facing status. So Brian and Nathan before were talking about the importance of client experience and communicating. We strongly recommend you guys to use client facing status because, and we're going to show you what this looks like live on their side, but this is going to show to the client the name of the job and you can change it differently and what's going on, who has to do what. So we recommend this to be very action oriented of, do you have to do something? If not, don't wait for us to do, meaning wait for me to do something and then we'll get back to you, or I need you to do something, but very direct in terms of the communication there. And the main benefit of this is that it preempts questions from the client. And then through automation, these statuses can change as the job progresses. And we're going to show you how that works. Please continue, Brian.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what we do is we like to, the very first stage is just the kickoff, and you'll see how it kind of goes. So we're going to add this job, and it's just going to show the client as planned. Your S Corp election job is planned and expect updates soon. So the automatic tasks that come up in that stage, this is something for me to do, vet the client, make sure that this is the right, it's just like a holding stage for me. It's a task that gets assigned to me to make sure that this is what we want to move forward with.
And
We
actually,
had the S Corp election talk with them basically.
and one thing that we're going to show you here is that what we've added, and sorry, Brian, sorry, but I just in the
No, you're good. You're good.
jump in, is we've actually added, which Brian is going to show you, the new thing is roles. So in this instant, that task of vetting the client can be assigned to the specific role on the account. So Brian, in your firm, what are the roles that you have? And we'll show that in a second. And who is this assigned to?
So we have 4 roles. So there's, I'm the CEO, and then we have a senior, and then we have a preparer, and then we also have an admin. So those are the 4 roles that we use.
Awesome.
And it's cool. Yeah. You can update that role depending on what needs to be done. We were looking at there's certain stages of the job where you can have 2 people assigned. Like I put myself in there, CEO, assign certain things there, and put maybe the senior on it as well, because then that way it's kind of like assigned to both of us, and I'm kind of like in the background. If I need to pick up the slack, I'll jump in there and mark it done. So yeah, that's what we do. But for the most part, yeah, the roles feature is pretty cool. Let's get into it. So we'll go ahead and create this job, and I'm going to save it. And I'm getting alerts on my phone now with the cool, TaxDome app, client firm owner app. So if we go now to this S Corp election, so now you see it's added to the stage, kickoff S Corp election. It's created the task for me. So, and the cool thing, what these arrows mean is it just auto moves once you finish the task. So you'll see that in action. So let's click on it. Let's click on the job, and then this is another cool feature that you showed me here, impacts auto move. We have this little fast forward button that tells you what's pending, so we could move this job along the status. So right now there's just that one, vet the client. So that's for me, make sure that they're vetted. So let's say we went ahead and vetted them. I'm going to mark this as complete, and we're going to save and exit. So you'll see it moves to stage 2. Now the client gets an organizer. The client gets an organizer to fill out some information. I could embed a video kind of walking them through why I need their social security number, why I need their, business information, upload a copy of your EIN if we don't have a copy. And the cool thing is I could go in and fill this out myself. And as far as what you were saying with the job status, so we've customized every stage of this pipeline. So right now it says, please complete the organizer. This is what the client sees. Please complete the organizer in TaxDome to confirm your business and personal details. Reach out if you need assistance. So if we go to that organizer, so this is the organizer that I created. We could, let's go to it. So we'll open it and I'll submit it on behalf of the client. So you'll see it moves to the next stage, but let's see. S corp election.
In the three dots right there on the right.
Oh, right here.
So what he's showing here is, just in the interest of time, you as your team can always push things forward, right? So on the client side, on their phone, they would have received a message saying One Stop CPA has created an organizer for you. And
this is, we could push it through and just hit submit. We're not going to fill this out for you guys, waste your time. But this is what it's asking, what's the name? Is there another person? That kind of thing. So, is it a late election? Add your EIN letter. So cool thing about this, I could go ahead and just submit it and you'll see it move to the next stage. So, and
that's the main thing that we really want to showcase here is that, remember, you're probably doing this across hundreds or thousands, at scale, right? You got to, it's especially the more people you have, you need to have this higher level view. What's going on? Where are people in my funnel, right? You guys are always like, who do I need to work on? And by doing this, you're always like, narrowing people into, do I have the right information to proceed? So the way you want to think of it, every stage should have a clear who's doing what and make it clear, are we doing something? Is the client doing something? And then what we've tried to really show you here, and I hope it's coming across, and please ask questions in the Q&A if not, but the automation is what's triggering it forward. So in the first one, he's vetting the client. Once he did that, it moved to the next stage. Once the organizer was completed, it moved to the next stage for him. And now he's doing it there. So the main, we just wanted to show you kind of the nuts and bolts of how this works. And the reason we're actually showing you a non-tax workflow is showing you that this can be applied to, it's a
more than just the 1040.
Exactly. It's a system that you can modify exactly to your, whatever the process is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So you see here, it moved over from the client to now my team. So if we click here, it says in progress. The client gets this update down here that says we're preparing your election form based on what you've already provided. Stay tuned for updates. No action needed on your part. So
and the other,
basically, go ahead.
So the other thing that's cool in here is a lot of times Brian, you've got a team here, right? So your team, and you've got admins, you've got VAs, they're probably a lot less knowledgeable than you are in the things that you're doing. And if you notice, one of his automations that he has here is that wiki page, which is the instruction. So this is also an automation that he had in here, which effectively, when his team opens this job, the person can always look at, how do I do the thing that Brian wants me to do? And you can put in effectively like an SOP,
operating video, Google Drive link. Yeah, this is what it should look like when you're done. Yeah.
And that's just a pure informational. So there's nothing to do there for a person, but anytime that they're working on it, they have all the context of the job, meaning this is the information that I have. This is the organizer the client completed. These are the prior chat information and so forth. Now, so let's save and exit and let's go to, do you mind opening up this, the LLC for a second? Just click on that on the client profile. And let's talk about the roles for a second.
Sorry, info.
Yeah, perfect. So this is a new thing that's in here, is what's called roles. So in this instance, if you notice, that first task of assign of the vet client was assigned to the role of, in this instance, to the CEO. So instead of him having a separate task of like assign role to this person, to that person, assign task, he has it on a higher level so that when he changes in each account, you might have a different person, being the responsible party. So imagine you've got bookkeepers, right? You've got tax preparers, you've got admins, you've got managers, and it's not always the same on every account. All you do is you set it up on an account level, and the workflow can remain the same, but the work will be assigned to the right people on the right account.
Yeah, and what's cool is
Yeah.
you can edit that. So you can, like, let's say this used to be something that a tax person would have to do. Now I could change that role to admin. So now my admin, because once I make that SOP and make it so easy, it's not a tax person needs to do that. An admin could do that. So yeah, roles is pretty cool. Yeah, I like
So
roles.
So while we get it, so actually just I think it's not every it's being rolled out in a phased rollout. So I'm seeing some questions saying that, oh, I don't have this in my profile yet. So this is actually a phased rollout. Everyone will have this before tax season. So the two things that we wanted to discuss, the new things that are kind of here are number one, roles, and number two, custom job statuses. So either they're in your account or they'll be in your account over the next week or over the next week or so. It's a phased rollout. So you should see this soon. So you can set up roles on a firm level, and then within each account, you can indicate who's doing what on that account. And Nathan, are you implementing this in your firm?
So we are a relatively smaller firm, but yes, we have 2 CPAs. So obviously, I am in charge of the vast majority of the tax prep, but my wife, who's the other CPA, is in charge of some of them. I'd rather her get the notifications in that world. I don't need the additional notifications, so the roles are extremely helpful for us.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, do you mind showing us now? Do you mind going to the setup of the template and showing what that looks like on the pipeline
Yeah.
of the task template?
Task template for prepare task,
Yeah, or any
prepare
of these that have
2553.
of any of these task templates that have so this is the pipeline overview. I think you have it in the task
Okay.
where it's
Oh, gotcha. Let me do that. Let me pull up. Hold on. Let me do that on another screen. Hold on one sec. So the task templates, yeah. Let's say, let's go back to CB company. So the task right here of prepare 2553. Let me
Mhm.
pull that up. Let's see. Firm templates.
And what we're showing you guys here is we're going to show you how to implement this. So for many of you that have been using TaxDome, what a common complaint that we had is that, I've got a large team and I have to have a template for every single person. Do this for Bob, prepare this for Mary. Now you can have the assignee instead of having a specific one, you can have it by role. So Brian, can you show
Right
what
here.
that looks like?
Yeah, so you see it here where it says assignees roles. So this preparing of this form, I have it as an admin. Fill in all 4 pages of the form 2553, double check the spelling because that's usually the error that we get, and then double check the tax ID numbers. So this is all within that task that they get assigned. And it says prepare the form and save it to. We have private folders and we have private tax and private books. I know TaxDome gives us private. But I put private tax and private books for the clients we're doing those for. So yeah, that's what the inside of the task looks like there with the roles. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
So let's go back to, should we go back to mark
So
that as complete?
yeah, so mark that as complete. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that my, person, whoever had to do that, they marked it as complete and we'll save and close. So now it moves over to the next stage. I get an alert, review the PDF. So you'll see the client still gets the same update. We're preparing your form. No, stay tuned. No action on the client side. Now for me, it tells me I need to, this is my task, review 2553. And this is the, like a shorter version of the task. I'm doing like a final review before sending it for the wet signature, checking for any errors. So this is assigned to me. I can mark that as complete. And then I also put a task for myself to move the deliverables from the private folder to now the public folder. So that's something that I would do. I don't want anybody else on my team sharing it until I've had a chance to look at it. So I'll hit complete there too. Yeah, go
But
ahead.
if you notice all of these things, this entire process, right? Like we're going through it kind of quickly just so people understand the workflow, but this entire thing is automated from the steps of he doesn't have to think about this, right? Every single time, all he has to do is what's in front of me, I have to review the PDF. Okay, I've done that. Now what's in front of me, I have to make sure I move the document. So obviously you guys have this all in your head, but when you're doing this with 1,000 clients and you're busy and like you're not getting enough sleep, someone's yelling at you at home, you're going to forget. This is why you want this automated process so that you never have to you can keep it on an autopilot,
Right.
really keep it on autopilot there.
Yeah, I'm marking task as complete and it's moving along the pipeline. I'm not dragging stuff around in the pipeline stage. It's moving its way through. So, and you'll see here right now where it says in progress. Now that I've marked those 2 tasks as complete, it goes to the client now. Send 2554. It basically says pending action. It's ready for you. Check your messages for the instructions, and a chat goes out to the client too. So that's what you were saying. You know,
And
it's just moving along the process.
and this pipeline, Brian, I think you were going to put it in the marketplace, everybody. So everything we're showing you here,
Yeah.
Brian's going to put it in the marketplace afterwards, so you can find it there from One Stop CPA. So you can have a walkthrough of everything what he's showing you here. Now, Brian, do you mind switching over to the actual nuts and bolts of this pipeline, so we can go through the actual the pipeline setting?
Let's go to. Let me exit out of here. The settings for the this screen. Yeah.
Yep, this screen.
So
Okay,
right now we have it in stage 5 right now on the client side. This is the inner workings of it here. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's just go from the beginning and quickly over what's transpired in these stages. So in stage 1, you had a task for yourself, just because you prefer to do that. You want to make sure you vet the client, you call them up, you do that, and then you've had a custom job, excuse me, a client-facing status that's updated. Now, again, about the client-facing status, just one comment. It is completely separate from your internal comments, from your internal job name, from what your team sees. So you are able. Your client is never going to see your job name. Every job custom client-facing status you can set to be whatever it is that you want. You fully control the content there.
Yeah.
So that's important kind of distinction. I saw some questions on there, like, can the client see? No, your internal comments are your internal comments. This is purely a specific box for the client to see. Now, as soon as you've done that, job automatically moves, and you have an organizer go to the client, right? And then at the same time, you've updated the client-facing status. So there's a question from Jessica right now: can clients see the progress? The client now has been updated that they're, whenever they go to their profile, and we'll actually show you what the client side looks like. It's going to say, hey, your job is he named it pending action. You can name it whatever it is that you want, and you can customize this to basically your what you've described it for. And then, as you notice, the job keeps moving forward. Now there was that little arrow that he mentioned kind of there, and we're actually going to make even more interface updates. But there's been some questions from clients in the past of, how do I know what I need for the job to move forward? So whenever you open that job card, there's that little arrow. And do you mind switching over the tab just so we can show that one more time?
Go to like here, this
Yep.
little auto
So
move.
yeah, so you see there's that little arrow that's been added. So anything that's linked, you now know what is needed for this job to move forward. So in this instance, there's that chat, which has 4 tasks for the client. And then separately, there was another one.
Here's the chat here. Print the form, sign it and date it, upload it to TaxDome, fax it, or let us fax it. And this is like a message that we made for them. So once they mark that as complete, let's just do that real quick. So, and then we'll go back.
And then you've got, I think, one more thing that's in there as well. So you see that little, there's another arrow on move the PDF to the chat. Yeah.
So what I like to do is send the PDF in the chat, so they don't have to go searching through their folders, because we know clients aren't going to find it.
Why don't you just show what that means to people, just so I guess it was in that same chat.
Yeah. So in the chat, what I have is for my admin to go into this chat and actually upload the PDF, like, because they'll get this, it says print the form, but they'll be like, oh, I don't see it. And it's like, oh, it's in your files. And then they got to ask you. We go in here and we'll do something like, I'll just put, here's the form, so that they have it all in one place. Really convenient. Print it, the instructions all in one place. So now if we go back, go ahead.
I was just saying, within this chat, you can also, what a lot of people like to do, specifically within tax, is you might add in a review of a tax return or a video, and you can embed a Loom video directly into that chat as well. So that's another common thing.
How to do it. Yeah, how to do it for that applies to everybody. Yep. So now it's moved over to the next stage. I could go back to the other.
Well, actually, let's stay. It's actually, yeah. So we're kind of showed the automations and what's happening here. Can you go back to the pipeline view and the job that's been moving swimmingly, and it's on the 6th stage, I think.
Yep. Review. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So now it's in review uploaded signed form, and you click on that job. So now this is another thing that's new that we wanted to kind of highlight is, what do you do when information is not, let's say there's a mistake. In this instance, in this specific instance, let's say the client gave you, didn't sign it. They uploaded you a form and it's unsigned. Let's set this is what's new here, guys. You see this box next to job info. So in this box, you can now set specific statuses for jobs. And these have been added to you. So you can, this is the default one. It's simply missing info has been added, but you can customize the statuses that are there. Now, when you set the status to missing info, it looks visually different in your pipeline. And on top of that, you can set the specific triggers that make the job come back. So in this instance, let's say this client uploaded to you a blank 2553. You might want to create a client request. So let's do that, of saying, give me the new 2553 and make sure you sign it, something like that.
Yeah. Signed.
Yeah. And then you can itemize it and put a file upload. Yep. Oh, you're selecting the template. So excuse me, you can skip the, you create the template. Okay.
Let me go back. Oh, well, you could see it change to missing info. Let me go and request that new request.
So anything that's, if it's a common thing that you're missing, so like, you notice those templates that are in there. So you'll probably be missing oftentimes at K1, or you'll be missing, I think you templated 1098T of common things that you're missing. You might want a template, but if there, you can always link any one-off things that are missing. And that's what this is. 2553, you can add a question of file upload, where the client will receive an email to upload this thing. And you can even make it not require a sign-in, so that when they're just going to, they get an email that says, give me this thing. And it's, they don't see anything within the account. All they see is a big upload box where they can upload this file. And as soon as they provide that upload, then the job will automatically move over. See right here, actually, without clicking off, see how it says missing info at the top? And it says, that orange big yellow box, it says the job is on hold due to missing information. And again, that's all, you can customize that text to say whatever it is that you want based on your workflows. So fully customizable, and you can set the statuses to whatever it is that you want as well. And then you can link the specific items that need to be done and itemize who has to do them for the job to come back to active. So what's going to happen is, as soon as this client uploads this, completes this client request, this job will stop being missing info and will come right back to active. So by doing this, you're able to keep the job in the same area, but like the same area that, we're reviewing it, but we have a missing information or missing something. And if you scroll down next to client request, you see there's that big orange little icon. That's how you see as well that this impacts the status stage of like this. When this thing is done, the job will automatically come back to active. So this is this is kind of a very useful thing that you might want to utilize, specifically within the context of when you reach a point when you are usually missing information, right? There's very rarely when you get information and you're able to just kind of go through. That's the ideal client, but we all live in the real world, and we know that it's going to take you a lot of times to do that. Now this information, can you go back up as well again?
Yeah.
This is fully customizable. So what you can do is, if you oftentimes have missing info K1, you can actually template all this and say, create a status of missing info K1, and then have a request for a K1 go out automatically. And you can have a job you can have the client facing status update as well. So do you mind going to your settings for this pipeline, just to show kind of what I'm talking in a separate, Yep. And then click on job statuses. So this is the new thing that's here.
Oh, okay, sure.
So this is where you guys can customize these based off of your specific firm. So this is what's in there for all of you. And click edit, if you edit status, you can edit the text that's here. And then you can add automation. So let's make one for K1s, because I guarantee you're going to be missing a lot of those.
K1.
Yep. And then let's create a template saying, we want you, and instead of the job is, this is your internal information. So you can make it, missing, waiting for K1 or something like that. Yeah. And then you can update what you want to happen to the client. So you want the client to get a new status.
Client gets a new status, show status, pending action.
Yep. And then write, please upload your K1 so we can proceed, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can add another automation of a client request for a K1.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's a little higher. Send client
request. Okay.
Yep.
And then you have your templates you can make. Yeah. I'll just use this one for now.
So you see how here, so now every time you set a client to missing K1, which is what's going to happen frequently, everything that we just did manually will be done automatically. like for you. So you won't have to manually itemize it. But there's probably going to be tons of times when you're missing specific information, right? Or like, hey, I need you to itemize, this is the itemized list of information that I need. That's when you'd want to create that custom request and link it to the job so that, hey, this is what I need you to do, 1, 2, 3. Nathan, have you started using this at all in your firm?
One of my bookkeeper uses it pretty consistently for sales tax approvals, for generally anything that he needs from the client, such as receipts, and then the questions that he sends to them every month, the client request. The fact that you can approve it and like they check it off and that they've done it makes it a lot easier for me to understand what my bookkeeper is doing regularly. So we're trying to implement it as much as we can, and it's helpful.
So the main benefits that I wanted to, that we wanted to kind of do with this is, number one, give you a visual representation of understanding which are the jobs that are not going along a standard, like, path, right? Most things are going to have some kind of hiccup along the way of information not always being there. That's just that's how tax works, right? No,
Yeah.
The perfect client will always give you information right away, but the perfect client doesn't exist. So we live in the real world. So this allows you to visually see the difference of which jobs are not, not fully there, and be able to see them, separately. You can also filter for these clients. So whenever you're filtering both on the jobs list and on here, you can filter by the specific status. So you can itemize, like, which clients are in which status or what's not flowing standard. So
what's missing from us, what's missing from them. Yeah, that helps.
Exactly. So now let's go to the tax side, and let's show, I think, just so we can go back to the tax workflow, because we wanted I wanted to start off with just showing you a different one, just because you understand the kind of the nuts and bolts.
The 1041.
Yeah, perfect. So the 1041. So in this client, what you've done here is you've, let's go to the beginning here. So walk us through a little bit of the differences of this 1040 pipeline.
Sure. So yeah, what I used to do is, and we're gonna go through this stage right here where it's at review and illustrate that client facing thing some more. But basically, like stage one, I would have it set up in TaxDome and in my tax software. So I even have like a vet client task there as well. And then I usually send out an email to clients, like a welcome email, just welcoming them to 1040 land, welcome to my pipeline. And then after that, we have some automations in our 1040, which are, we have tags for send a proposal with the custom fee if it's a pay per return client. I also have clients that I include their 1040 with their subscriptions, some, the bigger clients. So we have that, automation. They'll automatically get the engagement letter that applies to them. This one has wording that says it's included. This one says, it has the fee. Everybody gets the same organizer. Everybody gets the same welcome message that says, hey, welcome to, we're doing your tax return, and an organizer has been sent for you to fill in. Then we have, on our back office side, I have this as like an admin task. Prepare a needs list, but don't send it to the client yet. Usually I wait till I talk to the client before I read this off, and I kind of look at it before I send it out. So this is just like a back office task. Prepare a needs list based on their last year return, and then just put it in the TaxDome notes. So that's that task. And then once all of that gets moved over, it moves over to this stage of reviewing the uploads, confirm that everything has been received, and then tax preparation is the next step. So this gets assigned to the tax team to start working on the tax prep.
So,
and then this is where, go ahead.
Just to slow down a second. I think so in the initial one, you sent a kickoff email in the beginning, right? So you send an email that's automated here that goes to the client. And then when in your second stage, you sent a secure chat. And now you see where it says send message. So this is a common thing that we recommend doing, that Brian has done, is that when you're starting with a new client, oftentimes, you want to send them just a, what to expect email, welcome email. And we have those templated. They exist in the marketplace. You can use those. They're free. They're ready, like what to expect. And those emails usually contain links to, this is how to download the mobile app. This is how to, direct emails there, what to expect. And if you notice, Brian kept saying his phone kept going off, is because there's an amazing mobile app there, especially on the client side. Your clients will love it. I assure you. I mean, we get people coming up to us saying that they choose their tax preparers because like how big of a difference it's been when they work with somebody that is using this versus what they had before. It will make you look good. Trust me, use it. You're you know, the 80-year-olds that are on, you know, in Nathan's clients, they're using it. I mean, Nathan, I mean, I guess I don't want to speak on your behalf, but
they think I'm the one improving our firm. They think I'm the one that's making all of these automations and making things more helpful. I've gotten that comment multiple times, how much effort we're putting in, and we just signed up for TaxDome and you guys keep putting out good features. So
but
I appreciate it.
The key here is the signaling, right? You have to just always remember the signaling. Your client has no idea if you're good at your job. Most clients have no idea if you're going to make a mistake on your tax return or not. Like being honest, they have no clue. But they use signals around it of like, do you have typos in your emails? Do you have, what's the process like for you? Is it a smooth experience? And if you give them that mobile app in front of them, they automatically think of you no different than they think of these bigger firms that are able to have, you know, like an Amazon or an Instagram or these big companies that they're used to dealing with. That's where client expectations have changed. And again, go read our industry report where we put it in the chat, but it really highlights a lot of this, that this isn't just me thinking about this. This is really what they feel. And you make a big difference by giving them that. But the reason I highlighted the message here is that once you've sent off that welcome email, a lot of times people transition to secure chats because it's secure as opposed to email, right? So you don't want to share client-specific PII over email. You want to have it in chat. Number two is you can have automated reminders on it. So if the client hasn't responded to it, they'll get a ping. And number three, it's just a much more efficient way of communicating. And it's very similar to iMessage or, it's very similar to iMessage or WhatsApp that they're already used to. So now if you notice at the bottom, see that chat, that's a new thing actually, where it says reminders enabled. Oftentimes people were wondering, oh, like, do I have reminders on and so forth? Both you and your client now have a clear understanding of if reminders are there. And your client also has an information of saying what they need to stop the reminder. Like, it's not just, you will get a reminder until you complete this task. You will get a reminder until you reply to my message. So it's very clear. Yeah. And then we've also added in a reply. So can you just show the inline reply there? On the three dots there. Yeah. So this is super helpful because when you're having a long conversation, we all know it's just, oh, what is this in response to and so forth. So this allows both you and your clients to really clearly respond, make it clear what you're responding to. Is just super, super helpful. So recommend to do this as well. Both you and your client can do this, but it makes the chat really efficient. And again, they can do the same exact thing on their phone. Awesome. So
go back.
So
that was all stage two.
That was all stage two. Yeah. So, and again, everybody can do things differently. So Nathan, I mean, we'll switch over to your side in a second there, but our goal is for you to understand how it works and apply it to your own specific firms, your own language, your own tone of voice, your own process, whether or not you have an admin that vets things before, or you just send off 1,000 engagement letters day one and you're just like, just go and everybody's the same. And then as they complete them, then your team starts reviewing them. Everyone has their own process. We're not here to tell you what to do. We want to give you the system that's let you do exactly what you want to do. And then over time, we find that people optimize it based off of their learnings. So Brian, you've been using TaxDome a number of years now, or is this
3 years? This will be season number 3.
3. So how have you changed your process with kind of this based off of what we've started with here?
Well, it keeps getting better and better. I mean, I've changed. When I started, I kind of used the template version, but as you do an engagement with this type of client, you say, oh, well, that could have went better. So at the end of it, I'd make the real reason why I did sign up for TaxDome. I was using another workflow software. It didn't let me update like the live workflows, the live pipelines. So I really like that. Like, if we find something right now that I can improve upon on this workflow, we could go in and change it like live, and now all my clients in this pipeline will experience it that way. So but yeah, I've changed it, constantly looking for ways to improve, and then that even helped me grow my team. When I started, it was only me, and then this has helped me like create like, hey, what is all the stuff that I'm doing? What can I assign to other people to just keep me hands off? So it's helped me grow, helped me get more organized. And yeah, the clients think it's impressive. My clients, same thing. They think I'm the one that's doing all this app stuff, and I don't correct them.
That's okay. We'll send in a here, Xperia. We're gonna send in a we actually have a PDF for you to send to your clients
Yeah.
talking about that so we'll put that in the chat soon as well. But actually, I think you just touched on something really good here, and I think wanted to highlight that you can update your templates and your process at any point. Now, the way it works is if you make a change, it's going to make effect every time a new job enters that stage. So you see there's 5 review. If you change something in this stage, nothing's going to happen to that job. This job will stay exactly how it is. But if you make a change to that stage, every new job that enters that stage is going to have is going to have the
new
things
version.
that you modify. So right now, actually, because we've added this ability to have the missing information, let's get rid of your review stages that you previously had. So you had the review. Let's modify that.
Let me find it. I got all these tabs open. Let me go back. Workflow settings. I think it was
stages.
this
There
one.
you go.
Stages.
Yeah.
So instead of, in the past, what I would have was a stage, let me go back.
That's the
S Corp one. Let me go back to workflow. Oh, this is CB company. Let's go back to, let's close.
If you just go to the pipeline.
Stuff. Yeah, this guy. So this is the, S Corp pipeline. Let me go back.
Tax pipeline.
Workflow. Edit. There we go. So what I would have is I would not auto move at this stage. When it gets to review, it would get stuck. And usually this would be like where all my client files would be stuck for me to go in and review. And then I would have to manually move it to 6A, where it was like, okay, review it and make those final updates, or 6B, meaning, okay, I looked at the review and we're ready to move on with like finalizing this return. So with that missing info tab thing now, I could basically erase this. I could erase this one here. Reviewed and ready. So I'm going to clear that out. And now I could just call this 6 review and make final updates. So I'll even, let's add a word in there so you could see it update. So if we go there, make final updates. And now if we go back to the pipeline, you see how it just updated in real time. So now when I move this guy over here, well, I'll mark everything as he'll upload his stuff. Let's just assume he finished the client request.
So that what he's actually, just show this for a second here. What he's doing is, in an ideal world, I mean, we're just doing it for the speed of time. The client will complete that 1098-T request, and the job will automatically change. Because he's going to change it, you can change the status to the job at any time yourself.
And now it goes back to moving down the pipeline. Let's see. Active. Everything here should be complete. Okay, so now what I could do is fix it so it auto moves. So before I wouldn't auto move, I would kind of let it get stuck there. Now I could go back in and go back to there, and you see it'll auto move once I think because I just updated that. So now it'll
in the next
move
one,
on its own. Yeah,
it'll move on its own. But
we'll keep moving it along, keep marking everything as complete. Finishing up the return. I'll just mark these as complete so you could see how it just moves with the task without me having to go in and do all the steps. So everything that gets assigned here, we're just marking the steps. And this is what we do, because of our team size and because of how we do it. When we publish it, everything is just kind of moving along. See, it went from 7 to 8. Now it's time to share the results. So I create a chat message, and I even put in here a reminder to do a tax planning upsell. So if they're not signed up, sell that to them. Record a loom if you need to do a loom. Share the return results in a chat message. So I'm just gonna,
can you just talk just for 1 minute about how you're using Loom in the chats and just kind of how you're doing the reviews?
Yeah, so I mean, Loom is a video screen record software. Clients, a lot of times things get stuck back and forth. There's so much back and forth in doing a tax return and doing an accounting engagement, if they have anything extra advisory that you're doing. So I use Loom. I mean, I like to use Loom because when you're working with higher, better clients, their time, syncing up your time, syncing up their time, they'll prefer to watch a video on their own time. And then that way you can, get an alert that they watched it. It tells them what to do. You could screen record TaxDome client facing side if you want to and say, hey, this is what it looks like on your side. This is what you need to go. You need to click right here. So I'm sure Nathan it's what, you know, it would definitely help with your clients. You know, if they click a video and Loom, your clients don't have to set up a Loom account just to watch a Loom video that you made for them. So, so yeah, I love that Loom is a link. You can embed it in chat messages and it keeps the client, you know, they think you're like living in 2050. They think you're in the future.
So
We
actually, so there's a,
we-
oh, sorry, Nathan, go ahead, please.
We actually charge for that as a service,
Right,
explaining
yeah.
how the tax return works at the very
Yep.
end. So we don't allow people to come in and talk for 2 hours. We just charge them and we explain the entire tax return page by page. A lot of the clients love that.
Yeah. I have a script writer that I use in ChatGPT too. That like helps me write the script. So a lot of ways you could play around with Loom and enhance what you're doing.
That's awesome. I love the chat
But
GPT content.
Oh, I love it. So this is the end of mine. I mean, this is where it ends. The client's got an e-sign and then we submit the return.
So
I'm sure
well,
we all
actually,
know.
so I want to modify this slightly because in your instance, you've collected, you've been paid already, right? Because you've been paid in the beginning.
Oh, step
But
one.
step one, right? So exactly. But not everybody does that. So I want to show a specific instance of, I want to show exactly the client e-sign 8879. So can you click that job?
Okay.
And I want to show the two common workflows here, which are, so actually here, you've got confirm e-sign received. We're going to kill that because don't mark it complete because this is a,
Auto move.
you can have the actual e-sign done. So let's now create the e-sign document and link it to the job. So that way, once the client signs the document, the job will move over. You don't have to have your admin confirming anything. So this is actually a good, we actually open here. So in this instance, you would click, do me a favor, click link in the top right corner.
Top right. Oh, link.
Yep, and then you click link the document. So when you're uploading the document, you can link it to the job during the upload. Or what we're showing here is after, let's say you uploaded and you forgot, you can link a prepared document to the job. So let's link.
It'll usually be in here. Yeah, the 8879 will usually be there. We'll just use this PDF.
Yeah, we'll use this one. Save it.
Okay.
And now let's click that document, and let's request a signature on it.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what your team would want to do.
File.
Signature. Yep. Or I think, excuse me, on the document, click request.
Oh, let me go to the document, tax filing. So usually it'll be here. And this is where we're requesting the 8879 request signature. I have like a template for requesting the.
So if you guys right here, notice this is obviously not the 80, not the form, but if you notice those boxes filled in automatically. So we have a template for 8879. When you upload that, it'll be there automatically. And now, because this document is linked to that job, the question for once the client signs this document, the job will automatically move forward. So nobody's actually like that whole we got to modify your pipeline because no one has.
Okay. Yeah.
You just have it as soon as that happens. And then the other thing I would like to do is let's go to that same document. And let's link it to that. Let's go to that same document and link it to an invoice. Because what a lot of firms do is they want to lock the document to the invoice once they've done it. Because you collect payment at the beginning, other people, I think it's under edit. Click edit, please.
Edit info.
And then
link invoice.
Link invoice. So let's create
invoice.
When you're creating an invoice, and again, you can have templates. Oh, perfect. You have a template. Exactly.
I got a 1040, $1,200. Yeah. Beautiful.
So now save it, and we're just going to show in the read-only mode. Show what the client. Again, we can't do this because it's a
right.
We can read-only. You're not going to do it. But at any point, you can always see what your client is looking at. And let's just stop here for a second. This client says, if you notice, he kept updating Brian kept updating the pending, the work in progress, which is the client-facing status. That's what your client sees. E-signatures received, and then the client has that they have to do the payment. And then they have the invoice that they have to pay. We just never cleared out that task before because we're running through it, but your client will do that. So click on that, click on the document that says pending payment. And click pay.
They got to pay.
They got to pay. So now, well, because it's in read only, but your client, you've uploaded the 8879, you've uploaded there, but it's hidden behind the invoice. So if you prefer if you don't collect full deposit up front, or if you don't get full engagement letter up front like Brian does, you can link the document to the invoice and make sure that you get paid. So in this instance, you'll never be following up with the client chasing for them. Hey, did you pay? Did you sign the document? As soon as the client pays, they're going to be shown the document to sign. And as soon as they sign, the job is automatically going to move over.
Yeah.
And
so then we could get rid of this one.
we just get rid of this completely because it's not a, so once
Right.
done here, and actually, can you show how modify this pipeline just so people see how to do that?
Yeah. So we go to this is the pipeline. You go to edit, and then you scroll over to that stage. These are the stages, and instead of saying confirm e-sign received, we could take that out. We could maybe update it, take a look at it or something. Confirm payment was received if you're.
But you don't even have to. That's my point.
You don't even have to do that. Yeah, that's true.
It's
well,
it'll do it automatically for you. But what you can do.
I'll cancel it. Yeah.
What you can do is you can if you have clients in, a lot of times people have them in buckets, right? Like $500, $1,000, $2,000. I'm just making these up. But if you do that, you can have the invoice be automatically sent as well at that time if you don't collect it in the beginning. So it's fully up to you. But my goal here was mostly to kind of just show the
here's the end of it. Here's the end of that pipeline. And once they do sign it and we submit it to the IRS, I have a couple little like placeholders, like, confirm the signatures, confirm everything is good, make sure you got the right payment account. And then what I like to do is I like to manually grab it from 10 to I leave it here. Don't auto move. And this is just my preference. I like to drag it to 11A or 11B because we know once in a while they'll get rejected and that takes away time. So I have an email that already goes out to them, a chat message that says it got rejected. Here's your instructions on getting the PIN. So I'm not like coaching them through that whole process because I'm sure Nathan's handheld some elderly folks through calling the IRS or going online, and that's not fun. So that message goes out. But if they do get accepted, I like to grab it from 10 and put it in 11B, and I know they're getting that email right away. So that's just my preference. I like to pause there.
So just a couple of housekeeping things. First off, we're going to continue for another 30 in case people are wondering, because I'm getting a lot of questions on that. So if that's all good, we'll continue. Because I think this is really like want to get, because we haven't gotten to the Q&A. We're going to show first. We're going to switch over to Nathan's side. We're going to show Nathan kind of how he's doing it. Can I get his thoughts on it, and put up a poll here so far of how you're, how comfortable you are with the two things that we talked about. So specifically custom job statuses and then roles. So we're going to come back to both of those and can help kind of answer some of those questions afterwards. But Nathan, can you show us on your side, what are we looking at and kind of how you do things in your sample pipeline?
Yep. Are you able to see both the pipeline in person?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. It X'd out for me on Zoom, always fun. So on this side, I am in a Chrome browser, and this side, I am in a separate browser. So I have my personal TaxDome up, and then I also have my business TaxDome up. You can see right here, I have added myself. I'm using tags as a filter. So let's say that you have high value clients. You can go in, filter for all the high value clients, see exactly where they are and also how long they waited. Obviously, I did this relatively recently. You're seeing an hour-long wait. But the goal here is that you can see this is how it will show up to the individual. Now, let's say we wanted to add another job, and let's say it's in a business account. So let's go in, let's add in my company. So Blue Heron, and let's add. Performs a couple of tasks. I'm going to update this at a future time, but let's say that this is a business, and this will appear what's on the job card. You come down here, this will appear to the individual. So your business return. I know my spelling's off there. I need to work on my typing. So this is what's going to show up to me on my job side. And let's switch over to Blue Heron CPAs. And as it takes time switching, you can see your business return misspelled is all there. It's actually kind of nice that it's misspelled. You know that it's real. So huge thing. We get a lot of calls from the elderly individuals. I'm very customer focused. I try to do everything that I can for the customer. In this specific case, this will save me probably around 300, 400 calls a year. And I cannot tell you how valuable that is. But let's say that we want to go over and we are waiting for information. So it's going to update my client-facing status to in progress. because I'm waiting for information. In this case, I could click into the job card, go into missing information. It would stick there. So previously, before we had that job activity, you would have to move it to a pipeline. It would be tax return started, or hey, I need more. You would kick it back. In this case, you can keep it in that pipeline area and it'll keep the time. So you can keep track of who actually is having meetings and at what point so that you can get them through the return. If we go and refresh, which I will do right now, my business return is now in progress. You can set really whatever. I have some other unique ones, unique items like extended. I don't think that there's a extended one, but update client facing. I created this specific.
So actually,
Go ahead.
specifically with regarding to this, this is actually one of the, sorry for interrupting, I just wanted to.
No, you're good.
Is, I think actually this is a great, so there's a lot of questions about extensions. How do you handle extensions? How do you handle extensions? And I think people handle it differently. Some people prefer a separate pipeline for them. My personal opinion, again, there's no right answer, is I would create a custom status of needs extension. And then as soon as the extension, and then, so let's actually show how that works. Can you click edit for a second on the pipeline?
Yeah.
And let's go to statuses and let's make one and let's talk through exactly how this job statuses. It's the second. Yeah.
I'm gonna
And
make that here for me.
And let's add a status.
Add status.
And then let's call it needs extension. And then, call it whatever you want. And then you could add automations of, creating an admin or whoever files your extension. I would create a task and assign it to the role of admin that we were talking about on the account of doing that.
So yeah, it's gonna bump you into creating that entire task.
So let's actually do that real quick, just for 2 seconds, because I think it's a relevant thing for people to see. So simple, like file extension and assign it to the role of admin, or I don't know if you have that set up yet.
Let's see, assign team members. We're going to assign that to me because I'm usually.
Let's not actually, let's do it on the role side, because again, we want to make sure that it's so if you do it on the role side, so you want to have whoever you have to do it. But I guess what I wanted to show is that, so save and exit. And then we're going to have, in addition, you might not actually need to have the client status change based off of this, right? Because the extension or not is that it's up to you whether you want it to change or not. But in this instance, you would have an extension assigned to your admin as soon as that happens. And then as soon as they file it, it'll come right back to exactly where it was. So, and then what you can do is you can have the admin apply a tag of, extension filed, or you'll always see that. So if you go back to that now pipeline, so let's save this and go to it. And that same job that was there of, instead of extended, let's change that status.
Change status.
Excuse me, the job status. If you click on the job card. So see where it says the active part?
Yeah.
Yep, and needs extension. So now as soon as you do that, you're going to see a task of make extension and file is going to go, and it should be automatically assigned. If you have an admin on this account, it'll be assigned to them. If you don't, it won't be. But if you have on this profile of Blue Heron CPAs PLLC, the admin would receive that task, and it would say must be completed by the name of your admin. And then as soon as they do that, as soon as they mark it complete, the job would automatically come back to active. So again, you can do it different ways. Some people like to create a separate pipeline for extensions and visualize them separately. But I think this is actually the smoothest, actually what you're doing is it stays within the process, and you file those extensions kind of as you're going. But again, how you set it up will depend on your personal firm of how you want to do it. So for example, the same way you have both your business and your personal in the same pipeline, a lot of firms prefer to have separate because it depends on the size of your firm. It depends if your process is different, of whether or not you want to segment information between them. So that's kind of why we also recommend, we wanted to go through the options and then you do what makes most sense for your firm.
Sure. And we are a relatively smaller firm, but having this all in one place, in reality, there are 400 cards that exist in this world in the middle of tax season. March, there may be a number that's 100 there, and you have to click load more because there's just so much work that needs to get done.
And we're adding in, what we're also doing is we're adding in, it's either already done or it will be done, a bulk edit. So for example, let's say you get to March 13th, let's just say that, right? And you've got your business, all your business returns. You can filter for all of them and say all the business returns that are not yet done. So all the ones that are like in the 5 stages beforehand, bulk select and mark them all as needs extension. And then those will automatically get assigned to all those people and they'll automatically turn yellow. And then as soon as your admin files the extension, it'll automatically turn white immediately. Does that make sense? So a lot of this is thought through with like the, you get to a certain point, what do you do on that date? So you will have bulk edits. It's either already there or you will have it soon of being able to do that on these things.
That'll be helpful. Another thing that you guys are doing that help us for in the future.
We're trying because I guess my goal here is a common thing that we get is, there's more than 1,000 people on the webinar and everybody's like, I want to do this. This looks amazing, but I'm not quite sure. It looks difficult or this. I wanted to kind of show live of the nuts and bolts of kind of the underpinnings of it, and do that. I mean, and I guess for both of you guys, I guess, was there an aha moment that made this make sense to you versus, when you first started? Is there something we can convey to the people listening?
I mean, day one, we came in with virtually no knowledge of workflow, and we have never worked in tax either. The fact that we were able to implement your system in our very first year, and it's now our third, we've made a lot of changes. We've improved it pretty greatly. The aha moment was we are scaling with no real hiccups as it scales. We use TaxDome. We will use TaxDome. I will say the app is probably the most important feature, as you guys have discussed. Probably 90% accomplishment rate on people that use the app, probably 40% for those that don't. So we really push the app. We even created our own branded marketing so that they go in and download the app as far as our clients. I would say that's huge also for the status, because the status will show on the app. They don't even have to log in online. They can see it from their phone and, hey, I don't need to do anything. And I also don't need to call, because the call is just going to an admin that says, hey, we'll get to you later.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of history working in accounting. I started in 2011 as an accountant, so I used to work in a paper firm where it was not paperless. So I just like how, I compare some of the things that I'm doing in TaxDome to like how it used to work in an in-person office. And I run an all virtual firm, so it's a lot different, but it's still seamless. My clients are, they feel better than if they were coming in person. And then also on the back office side, I used to have to fill out a green sheet and put like, hey, I filled in I finished with this client, and I'd put it in a little box on my manager's desk. Well, I see how quick that's going now with what we just fixed. It's like you change a status and it moves on. So it's like, and I get an alert, I get a push notification on my phone. So it's like those things are so much faster. And it's like we have to, things are changing with accountants. There's all these different things we have to do. And just knowing that your systems, nothing's falling through the cracks. So that's what really helps me, is just being able to look at everything, bird's eye view, see what maybe I need to call all of these people today and move them along. So that's what I really like, just being able to look at everything and make impact to it.
And I mean, there's a reality for me, Ilya, too. I'll have 200 people where they have paid a deposit, and all it takes is me moving them into tax prep kickoff, and it sends out an email, whether they're returning or they're new. It creates an organizer based on how they would like to be communicated with. They get through the intro, they get through the engagement letter, they get through an organizer, and then they give me all of the information. And I have yet to have that initial meeting with them. And now I get to talk to them with all of their stuff, with everything that I can review in front. It makes that meeting so efficient. That's if there is something to do in workflow, that is the thing that you need to do in workflow, is make it so that you have all of the information before you get to that first meeting, because the goal is not to have 5 meetings so that you can start the tax preparation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think I think we can do some of the, I think we can do some Q&A. So I'm seeing, do you guys see the Q&A? I'll plug and play a few from here. But I guess let me just give a few quick kind of housekeeping items. Number one is the pipelines that you saw are available in the marketplace. And we're, Brian's going to remove the the check for invoice and signature, because we know you don't, there's no checking. It's all done for you automatically. But I guess, there's a couple questions here about, again, how that works, the invoicing, just to touch upon that. So your client, you can lock documents to an invoice. So what that means is you create an invoice and you upload a document. If those two are linked, until the invoice is paid, the client will not be able to see the document. Rather, they see it, but they're not able to actually download the document. And what that means in practice is your accounts receivables goes to zero. So many people invoice, what we recommend doing is to do either a deposit or full invoice upfront through the proposal engagement letter. And that can automatically also collect that money directly in the same interface. Then if you don't do that, you want to invoice later, you can do that. But again, you can control the accounts receivable by locking the document. So more than $500 million were processed through this by preparers and bookkeepers and EAs and all the people working on this, just like you. Strongly recommend to do that. It makes your life a lot easier. Your clients are able to pay in one seamless platform. And on top of that, you can control how they get paid, whether it's ACH or credit cards. So very useful. Then there's a question for you guys about how you think about handling communications with clients and how you use email versus secure chat, and how you guys think about that.
Well, what's cool is that if you send a chat message, you can set it up where your clients also get that as an email. So I send chats wherever possible, and then throughout my pipelines, I have stages where emails also go out. So I try not to send manual emails because it's like that's where I'm spending time. So, unless I'm doing sales or like one-on-one with a client, I try to get as much email communication through stages in TaxDome. So, but yeah, I see chat as like an email thing too. If clients prefer to get that email, but my clients love doing the chat message. They could ask me a quick question. Hey, I'm gonna go buy a car, and I could send them a quick link. It's so much quicker than schedule an appointment. Let's do this. Let's do that. It's like, let's get to the point, let's get to making money.
Yeah, on my side, as far as email, I don't like email at all. The goal of my world is to not be the one that's in charge of everything. So I require people to use the portals. My bookkeeper responds to the bookkeeping questions. I respond to things that I need to respond to. It's something where it's a centralized area for people that do send me emails. I typically kick them back and say, hey, do you mind communicating with me through the portal? Or I'll just respond through the portal, and then they'll have to log in for that actual communication if they want the response. I also don't want to retain my emails. I have to, but I don't want to have to use that as my evidence in the case that anything happens. I need to get all of the documentation. I prefer it to be in one place. You're muted, Ilya.
Thank you. I shared my phone. Can you see my phone here? And now I think this isn't important for the client experience part, because the guys, both you guys were showing it on the desktop, but the mobile app, like I said, is used, and it's a top 100 app on the iOS store. There's also one for Android in the Google Play Store. There's almost 10,000 reviews on there. People love it. We strongly recommend to use it and push it. There's no fee for it or anything like that. It's all fully included. Your clients can log in with their face, and then they get to this. Now, what you're seeing here is in both cases of Brian and Nathan, they showed you both personal and business. A lot of times preparers are working on multiple entities for people. And this is one of the best things, is that you can have multiple entities all through one login. You just log in through them. So you see the accounts here. We've got multiple accounts, and we did a demo for Jason Stats, shout out to him, of what that workflow looks like. But this is super convenient for them because they don't have to remember multiple passwords. It's all in one place. So in all of those cases, like Nathan, you were showing me a business and a personal, that client would have only one, they'd access all of them right from there. So let's say if I go into this account, I see exactly what's needed for me. I can see the client facing status that they were showing me. If there's anything that they need to do, this is a demo account, so there's lots of stuff in here. They can pay the invoice right from here, put in their credit card, and you can choose add payment method, have it right from there, all from their phone, easy. they can, let's go to your chats for a second. We were communicating before. Easy chats, they can do that. If you sent them that Loom video, they can watch it right from here. And if they needed to give you back information, they can scan documents directly from here in addition to uploading files. So if you notice there's no take photo, this is intentional because nobody likes photos, everybody likes scans. They click the scanner, you get a pretty little PDF that you can utilize and work with instead of a JPEG or HEIC that's there. So super, super convenient. At the same time, that same account, if you send them something for a different account, the push notification that comes in will take them automatically to that different account. Now, for those of you that have clients in other languages, obviously we have a huge, you guys are both in Florida, big, Spanish speaking communities there. I'm sure some of your clients probably prefer that, but we support many languages. So if your client wants to change it and they prefer, Spanish, everything is going to be in Spanish for them. Easy peasy. So your client experience is in the language that they prefer there. And obviously this is named to the company that you have. So let me switch back to the, let's see, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, idioma, there we go. My Spanish isn't very good, so I had to find exactly how to say language in Spanish. But I think you guys kind of get the gist, and everything there, whatever that they need to do for you is in one convenient portal. Your contact information is there. Everything that they need to do is in one awesome place. And this is what Nathan was talking about, how it makes you look good, right? Your client isn't, there was a question in here of saying, oh, my tax software has some organizer app that I can send them. You know the meme of be honest. Well, be honest with yourself and compare your tax software organizer and the experience that you're putting your client and something like this, right? This is modern. This is what they come to expect. This is really the level that modern firms are expected to uphold, and you have that within your area. So let's see some. Oh, okay. There's some additional questions about pictures. So the scan just takes them to their same camera app, except it turns it from a picture, it gives you an actual good camera. So it's an actual high quality scan, but done with the phone. So they are able to do everything here that you're seeing. They can upload the documents for you, but it comes in the format that's convenient for you. Other part that I mentioned is they have multiple accounts. They're going to get a notification directly to go to that specific account. And if you send them an invoice or a question for a specific account, they're going to get that notification automatically right from there. So super convenient.
I saw a question about pipelines for different languages. And I think what's probably interesting for that is you could actually create tags for if someone prefers a certain language and then run your pipeline through conditional tags for what you're sending and create specific messages that are in Spanish, create specific organizers that are in Spanish. So that gets automated and they're still all in one pipeline.
Yep. Definitely. And that's we actually didn't cover the automated the conditions, but in what we were describing earlier, there actually was a condition. If you notice, Brian had some clients that were on subscription and some clients that were not on subscription. So he sent two separate proposals where the clients that were not on subscription received a proposal with a request for payment. The clients that were on subscription did not receive a request for payment because it's already included in their package. So that's the beauty of the automations, and they can have conditions based off of different things. And the same exact way, but based on languages, you can have different you can have some clients that say Spanish, and if you want to have email templates and chat templates and everything be in Spanish or French or German, whatever language you prefer, you can have that done. You can automate all of those things as well. Then there's some questions about, can your clients sign documents? They can do every single thing that you see in the portal on their mobile phone. So let me find, maybe switch an account. I'm just looking for one that has a signature request. Maybe this one does. Boom. Okay, this is a perfect example. Signature request is 8879. They have to sign the document right from their phone. They can go and sign the document right from here. And then this client, this document, this is maybe a tax return here, but it's locked by the invoice and I have to pay it before I move forward. So anything on your side that you need the client to do, they can do within the context of their app. And the first time that they log in, they get this, they are able to, they're able to have a walkthrough of their account right from there. So, what's that? I guess oh, here we go, show onboarding. So your clients, the first time they log in, this is what they see. They're given a kind of a walkthrough. Here where you are. This is what it looks like. They show that they can switch the accounts when they first log in. The quick actions that they can do, sign a document, upload a document, send a chat, whatever it is that they might just, I'm here to do that thing quickly. And then this is the most important part. Anything that you need them to do is organized for them in one easy area, aggregated here in the beginning, but in these different sections is only within there. So if you click on chats, it'll be only the things that are, within chats there. Super easy to use. People love it as well. So, okay, there's a question on the organizer. Let's see if there's an organizer in this chat. Perfect. Let's see this one. Your client can complete the answers right from here. Super easy, super easy. They can upload documents. They can chat. They can scan the documents right from there. They can see upload documents. They can do everything. It's super, super easy for your client to do directly on their phone from iPhone or Android or anything. So super, super easy. What other, you guys see questions in here? Anything in here that's coming in kind of that is helpful on a bigger level to people?
Yeah, I saw a couple. Well, the reason why I showed that 2553 one, it's just a process. It's like it's just to kind of illustrate. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time in that 2553, but it is something that comes across. So that's why we kind of demonstrated that S Corp election form, because it's something that kind of gets shifted around the office. But that is one of the forms that the IRS, as I understand, does not let you e-sign. So that's why. Other than that, we do everything e-signature. So that was one of the questions, why go through the wet signature process? Yeah, I agree, but that's the only one of the only forms that we run across that you have to get ink signed. So that's why we went through that part. And as far as Loom, somebody asked about Loom and Wisp. You can actually put password protection on your Loom videos. So that's another thing too.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in the Loom videos, and as mentioned, I think Nathan, you said you charge for it, right? Because I mean, there's some great questions in here of like, oh, I have clients in person. How do I transition to this, right? Do you think your client wants to drive over to your office to go take time out of their day to go do that? We're in 3 different cities having this meeting. This is what technology enables us to do. So you are able, but at the same time, you want a personalized experience, right? Nobody wants to be treated like a number. So that's the beauty of what we're talking about, is you're able to create the experience that you want your clients to have at scale. You're able to show them the status of their return without just like a black box of here's a portal with random information in it, but like, no, this is where you are. This is what we need you to do, or this is what we're working on. They're in full control of the experience. You can control the communications that are sent. And importantly, with the videos, that is really the summary document, which we think is a great idea to do, because it takes 2 minutes out of your time, right? To review, if you really think about it, how much time it takes you to go through a tax return, it's probably so much more efficient for you to do a video and walk them through it than it is to have them sit across from you. If they sit across from you, you're in there for minimum 30 minutes, if not more. You're going to chit chat. You're going to have a couple of minutes of, how are the kids? How are this? How are that? And then they're going to ask you all these random questions. And it's actually much less efficient. I mean, purely from a functional perspective than you being able to do it in massive video. Nathan, please.
I actually calculated it out. And it took me an hour and 43 minutes for every single meeting that I had to talk through a tax return, where the average meeting with the client legitimately lasted 30 minutes because of drive time, because of scheduling. And it's not something, and many of you know this, you can't just sit down and pick up a tax return for 10 minutes, put it down, pick up a different one for 10 minutes. Like, you have to go through the process. So that's why I charge. It's not that I'm trying to hold information, but it is very much that I want to sit at a computer for an hour and talk to someone about every single thing that I possibly can, rather than taking an hour and 43 minutes and charging them twice the amount that it takes me just to talk to them for an hour through Loom.
And Loom is a great kind of happy medium, right? Is that you are able to still give them what they want. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, are, great coffee dates, but I think what they really want is just an understanding of what's going on in a tax return. And you can do that in a 2 to 5 minute video. And then you guys can meet up for coffee or dinner separately, but without it kind of, taking time out of your day. Because we all know how the second it changed, January 10th, you guys are all going to be the people doing tax, which I presume are the people on this webinar. A lot of them you're going to be very busy. Every minute counts. And this is what you're able to do by kind of leveraging technology there. So just a few questions that I saw, quick housekeeping. Can you do KBA and other e-signatures? 100%. Everything that your client can do on the web, they're able to do on their phone. Whether or not you send them an e-signature request that includes KBA or not is up to you, but your client is able to fulfill any action that you need them to do within their mobile app as well.
I see a question here about QBO and TaxDome together. So you can actually use TaxDome and creating new things. Whenever you create one in QBO, you can create a contact in TaxDome. Extremely helpful. But it's also you can connect your invoicing so that whenever you pay an invoice, make a payment, it'll show up in your QBO too. You just have to have the client name properly named. That's the most important feature. Get the client name correct in both files.
Awesome. A couple other questions that I see here is that there's some questions on translating and so forth. So when we say translating, that's the interface, right? So we don't translate your messages. If you want to send a message that says hi, it's not going to magically become hola, but the interface will change the names of the things that you see on the screen, but your actual content will be in the language that you prepare it, whether it's a proposal, whether it's a chat and so forth. So you can have different flows for different clients. And again, like we said, have them go out through automations. So if you have a client tagged Spanish, you can have all of the, create a separate flow for everything sent to them is in Spanish. But the actual content is fully on you to do. And the answer simply that is translation. You would not want us to translate your chats because it's just going to be a bad Google Translate. Even with the interface, we have a whole translation team that manages this because, like Google translations are great, but they're not great when you actually have to use it for business there. So you want to have I would recommend to do it yourself if you're going to do it in a different language. Somebody wants a TD hoodie. We're working on some cool swag for you guys. So you guys we actually gave out a bunch of swag to clients at conferences. So Nathan, I think we met you at one of the conferences at Baltimore or
I was down in Orlando for the IRS Tax Forum, and that was we spent a decent amount of time together. You guys were one of the better vendors there.
Awesome. Happy to hear that. So we got some good swag for clients, and I believe we were giving out some t-shirts. Jessica, awesome. Florida. You guys are all in Florida. So let's see. When there's a mobile app update, does the client? It's just like any. So the question is, if we release updates, which we're releasing all the time, will their app update? Yes, just like any other application, it auto updates in their background, depends on their phone. And remember, your client will receive push notifications. So when Brian sends a message, it's going to say one-stop CPA message for you. They click it, it automatically opens in their phone here. There's a bunch of, so actually quick plug for our community. There's a bunch of questions of like, oh, when is this coming out? When is that coming out? When is this? We released a list of more than 30 updates, including a lot of the things people are asking about here. That is going to come out, that has already either come out or will be coming out by the end of December, early January. So we're going to put a link to there right now in the chat, which I believe I'm going to ask one of the team members to please do in the meantime. But we have over 30 what we call quality of life updates. So for example, there's a question on, oh, can I resize the signatures? No one's going to buy TaxDome because of that, right? But it's a quality of life update. It's a thing that you need as part of your workflow that you probably came across when you needed to do it and you believe in the document you wanted a bigger signature or a smaller signature. That's one of the quality of life updates that's there. Another thing that's there is our documents AI. So it's actually going to be, it's in beta, but it's going to be released by the end of December, where these documents, you see how it says, CL2345 or client file upload, you will not see that. You will see, Brian, last name, 1099 to the 2024, Chase or whatever it is. And it's all going to be automatically organized for you there. Then there's some questions on additional. Yep. So that's coming. Jessica, we got to get you on the next webinar. I like your energy, Jessica. I love it. The other thing that's coming is we're actually in process of creating a integration directly with QBO. So what that means is for those people, this is a tax webinar, but for bookkeepers, you'll be able to have the transactions from your clients directly in TaxDome and be able to ask questions about those transactions and have it sync automatically to your QuickBooks. So that's going to be coming. So we're super, super excited about that in the first quarter. We will also be integrating other GLs as well, but we're starting with QBO because they have the biggest marketplace. All right, let's see any other questions that are super relevant. Are you guys seeing anything in here?
If you're trying to do integrations, go into firm settings or settings, go to integrations, and there's a tab at the top, QuickBooks. That's where you're going to find it. QBO is extremely hard. If you've ever played with their API, is extremely hard to integrate with. I appreciate you doing that work because I don't want to.
Well, there's two kinds of QBO integrations. So the QBO integration, which we have now, which is specifically around the invoicing. So your firm, so we were showing you guys how you can invoice your clients. So the QBO integration that's there is for your firm. So we integrate with your firm's QBO account. What we're adding in early next year is an integration directly with your client's GL. So that, what you were showing with Blue Heron PLLC, they probably have a QuickBooks account. You'll be able to see the transactions of that account directly within TaxDome. And so I've added the link to the in the chat of the quality of life updates. It's in our new community. There's over 1,000 people already in the community. Our goal is to get to over 10,000 by the end of the year. Because we've got a lot more people than that, and we want everybody in the new community. It's awesome. Our whole product team is actually communicating with people on there, answering questions. So it's super, super valuable. And we posted the quality of life updates that are there. So that's great. And then I guess let's just give a quick final wrap up, and then we can talk about the roles and the custom statuses. So let me switch over. And actually, Brian, do you mind sharing yours because you've got it set up? And we'll just show you how, let's cover the roles on the firm side, roles within an account, and then how to set up automation for the roles.
Sure. Let's go back to roles in the settings. Let me go here. What I was going to pull up is this is my organizer. Somebody asked the question about the organizer. I have a simple organizer. I don't ask like a full bunch of questions. So I just kind of ask, name, phone number. Did you change your marital status? Did you buy or sell crypto? I have a little crypto video in there.
So actually,
do you have an account? Yeah, go ahead.
On that,
While I pull
video,
that up on a different screen, I'm trying.
So I'm a big believer. Again, if you talk about the kind of building your brand and what it looks like, I strongly recommend doing things like this. Again, not everybody wants to be, Brian is a great looking guy, loves to, he loves to be out there talking about, getting on the stage. But if you are comfortable, and it doesn't have to even be you, it could be somebody else. But the more you can incorporate videos and the more you can incorporate this stuff, it makes it a lot more personable. So here's an organizer, right? You guys all know there's questions about a Lacert organizer and so forth. Lacert organizer just, it looks like a clunky PDF that from 1985. And I'm telling you, people complete these a lot more than they complete those. It automatically saves. The documents are automatically saved in here when they attach something instead of you getting the documents elsewhere. The workflow is much, much, much better. And I know there's some questions about, creating custom request list and so forth. We've got some cool updates coming for you guys on that front as well, but we're going to be quiet about those, but there's some cool stuff coming. I will say that. But with regard to this, I definitely recommend to add multimedia to whatever you're sending to your clients, right? So if you want your client to complete a 2553 or the S Corp election you were showing before, you know what it is. Your client gets some form that says, give me all this business information. The more you can put them into context, just give them a 60-second video. What is this and why am I asking you to complete it? They're going to be much more likely to do it. Because if you were going to visit them in person, or rather they visit you in person in the office, that's probably what you would tell them. So this way you can also, you make that one video and then every other client you do this for, it just works. So Brian here has done it for crypto because I'm sure you guys all get asked about crypto. Instead of him answering that question, he just sends them the video. So I'm a big fan of this.
And they have to ask that question and on the tax return, and it's better for you to ask this in an organizer. I think Nathan said it when we were talking beforehand. It's like you're gonna say later on when something happens that, oh, I remember I told you about that crypto, and it's like, no, 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 here's that organizer. So don't try to, don't try to do that. But here's the roles. I got the roles up.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so you can set up roles and you can customize them as much as you want on your side, right? So depending on depending on the structure of your firm, depending on how you do it, and again, those tasks in every task template, you can have it assigned to the role of the person on the account. And can you just open up one of those accounts in another tab?
Like what? Like the CB company?
Sure. Yeah, just go to the info on this client.
Yep.
And then boom, you see the account
Yeah,
roles.
over here.
Yeah, exactly. So you can indicate who's there. We're actually working on a bulk import of these, right? So this is a common question. I've got all these roles. How do I do it? Pretty soon you're going to have a bulk import of this as well. So you'll be able to do this in bulk from a spreadsheet as well, because a lot of people already have this information, especially in the importing. So you'll have this there. But one other thing I actually want to show you, there's questions about the client mobile app. See right below that, it says no contacts have downloaded the mobile app. Then you know that this client hasn't used the mobile app yet, and you can actually filter for clients. So actually, can you go to your client list for a second? This is a good plan. I know we're going off, but I like to veer off. I like to veer off. Oh, well, you can't show your client list. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to pull up my client list. I don't want.
Fair enough. But on your client list, you can filter. Fair enough. You can filter
Yeah.
for the clients that haven't used it, and then we have a
Oh,
template
okay.
and send them. So you can filter for, and you can say, hey guys, FYI, we've got this amazing mobile app. You can do it, and you can do it multiple times a year to get more and more people on there through there. So just what's called. Just want to make I don't want them to show here's boom.
I send this. This is a site that I made through. This is my TaxDome website. So I made this page that's called onestop.cpa/iPhone because these are the apps that I want clients to have on their phone. Zoom. These are the 4 that you need to have. So I text this to them on the call. I'll say like, hey, do you have an iPhone or an Android? And then I'll send them, if they have an Android, I think it's Google. Is it Google or Android? So that's one of the questions I have. It's so I send them the link because I actually had one rare occurrence where a client downloaded the firm owner app instead of the client portal app. So I send them these links. Just another way to put it in their hands, because I want them to have the app mandatory.
And there's a bunch of feedback of, we are going over time, so I apologize, but I'm excited. Brian and Nathan are, I like talking to them. It's fun. So if you're able to stay, and if you're not, I get it, but we will send a video of this there. Oh, just one final couple questions that are here. I'm just trying to see if there's any advanced questions that people were asking. If you don't see roles yet in your firm, it's going to be released in the next week or so. It's being phased in. So some people have it, some people don't. You'll see it soon. Same exact thing with custom job statuses. You should all see them and you can customize them as much as you want. And then there's a question of, can jobs move backwards? They can move any way you want. You can drag and drop them anywhere, but the automation always moves it forward, right? So you don't actually generally have to move it backwards if you use the custom status, right? So if you think about it, any job that gets to a certain stage, there's a presumption that the things that had to happen beforehand did. And if you are at any point reach a hurdle, say missing information, you can simply set the status to missing information for them and then clarify the information that you need. So you actually don't need to go backwards as much. I mean, you can, but you don't need to go backwards anymore or need to bounce around stages because of the custom statuses feature. Awesome. Well, this has been super, super helpful. At least I think it is. So I hope it is. And I've been enjoyed talking to you guys. So thank you guys. One final question. Can job status be auto changed? Yes. So as soon as you can link, Brian, do you mind sharing that one more time? I think it was it you or Nathan who was sharing the extension?
That was me. I will get that up.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. That'll always be fun. There we go. We good?
So, yep, perfect. So the question is, how does the job get from this yellow big box back to normal green? The task in here has to be completed. So you see at the top, it says task, make extension and file must be completed. So in this instance, we've created a template for his admin to be assigned a task to go file the extension. His admin goes and does this in their system, and then they simply mark that. Can you mark that status complete, the task at the bottom? No, leave this there. Yeah, and see that make extension and file. Let's change that to completed. So assuming that the admin does this, they mark it to completed and click save. this job will automatically change, and it's no longer, now it has turned to active. So this is what I meant by the extension flow of, and theoretically, your admin has done the work that they said that they did. They
And
said
it
that.
still keeps the time. That is the biggest thing for our firm is before you had to move back and forth and you would reset the timer every single time that you moved them back and forth. Now with that missing info, it keeps the timer there. So those that you met with earlier than the year are at the top of your job board. It's a huge win right there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you. There's some people asking for some hoodies. So again, we're working on getting some cool swag for everybody. So and like I said, thank you to Brian and Nathan for being so willing of their time and kind of answering all these questions, showing their workflows. So thank you guys for doing all that. I think it's been super helpful, and we had over 1,000 people here listening to you guys. So that's great. I know we went over time, but maybe we'll budget more time next time, but we'll see. I like bouncing around. I think it's good.
It's worth it. Thank you very much.
It's worth
Thank
it.
you
So
guys.
everybody,
Bye-bye.
thank you guys.